Now, for a little over a decade, they have waited anxiously for an opportunity to take part in national elections, even though they are domiciled abroad. Despite the passage of a law in 2006 allowing their participation, the Electoral Commission is yet to offer all Ghanaians resident abroad that opportunity. But that is set to change following a ruling by an Accra High Court on Monday, giving the EC 12 months to put in place a constitutional instrument that will allow all Ghanaians resident abroad to vote in the 2020 elections. Joseph Akable, who was in court for Joy News, report the plaintiffs are happy about the ruling.
The excitement was visible on the faces of the individuals who had brought the matter before the court and got Justice Anthony Yeboah to rule in their favor. They had argued that the EC had failed to implement the 11-year-old legislation which had led to a breach of their fundamental human rights. They had asked that the court orders the Electoral Commission to begin implementation of the law that will see Ghanaians residents abroad take part in national elections and referenda. Lawyers for the Electoral Commission had opposed the application. They had insisted that they were in the process of implementing the law and did not see that they should be compelled to do so. They also talked about logistical constraints that implementing ROPAA could have on the Commission, particularly issues of financial burden. But Justice Anthony Yeboah, in his landmark decision, informed the parties to the case that the Electoral Commission had failed to justify the delay in implementing the law. He described the reasons advanced as unjustified, unreasonable, and saying that the Electoral Commission only demonstrated that it was poor in capacity, that is institutional-wise, if it cannot find solutions to these challenges. He also pointed out that they had failed to show evidence that they had presented a budget to Parliament which passed the legislation and which controls the purse, and had turned down their request for finance to carry out the exercise. The other director at the Electoral Commission and director to the commissioners for that matter is to have them within 12 months ensure that the appropriate constitutional instrument is put in place. Now, 30 days to expiration of this 12-month deadline. If for whatever justifiable reason they cannot have the constitutional instrument put in place, they should communicate to the court and the general public for that matter the reasons for their failure to obey the orders of the court. As can be imagined, they sang, danced, and chanted, puffed their fists in the air.
So we are so thankful for everybody else that, of course, I can remember all the churches, all the people who supported us. This is a big day this is a win for Ghana. We're excited.
And very exhaustive decision. The decision simply being that for 10 years, the Electoral Commission has been egregious and deliberate in ignoring the implementation of Act 699. It is certain that Ghanaians living abroad will vote. Viva Ghana! Viva Ghana! Viva ROPAA! Viva ROPAA! Now,
it is obvious that the Commission is in some kind of turmoil as there are petitions seeking to impeach the three main commissioners at the Electoral Commission. I engaged lawyer for the plaintiffs, Samson Ladi Ayenini, who thought that is not of concern to the plaintiffs.
What we are concerned about is what the law says ought to be, which has not been. And we have come to the court and urged the court on the points of law. The Electoral Commission contended that the right to be registered to vote and to vote from abroad is not one that can immediately, be done for them. Even though it claims that it had been doing so assiduously, the evidence shows that it has simply been sleeping on the job or just deliberately not intended in making sure that what Parliament had done was actually, was giving, as it were, what it needed to be done.
The 12 months handed the Electoral Commission begins counting from January 1, 2018. It remains to be seen whether the Commission will meet the deadline and present for the appropriate constitutional instrument to be passed to enable Ghanaians residents abroad participate in our elections. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Joseph Akable.
We will bring you a reaction from Parliament in a bit, but Joy News is learning 3 out of 7 teenagers who who sexually molested a young girl at Bantaman, the Ashanti region, have been arrested. 4 others said to have been involved in the act, which was captured on video, are being pursued by the police. The video, which is about 5 minutes, shows the lady pinned down to a mattress by one of her abusers while his accomplices take turns in what appears to be an attempt to penetrate her. We're unable to share the entire video with our viewers, but Fifi Kumsing watched it and describes what's in there.
They are a gang of at least 4 boys in a room about 12 feet square. All of them probably teenagers or in their early 20s. One in a black shirt, holding, in fact, clamping down the girl with his arms. The victim, possibly a teenager, struggles as the boys take turns to attempt penetrations. First, one boy, showing the disgusting frame of his nakedness, jumps onto the bed and the girl. He tries for a few seconds, but it turns out he's not hard enough. Then another boy, who appears to be the leader of this heinous act, takes his turn while the others try to open the legs of the young girl. "Leave me," she shouts, but there's no one coming to her rescue. Rather, the boy who held her down now removes his pants to take his turn. The ghastly episode goes on until the voice of the person filming it issues a threat. Now everyone dresses up and begins to head out amid a lot of laughter and grinning.
Well, the police, a few hours after the video went public, issued a statement saying it had begun investigations into the incident and urged anyone with relevant information to report to the police, and also asked media houses as well as persons in possession of the video to stop circulating it. I'll share with you the statement from the police. It says the police has intercepted a video recording of what appears to be a gang rape involving a young lady and at least 5 men. In view of the serious nature of the act as shown in the video, a special investigation team has been constituted at the CID headquarters to analyze the video with the aim of identifying those involved and get them arrested for the necessary legal processes to be activated. The police CID is therefore appealing to all media houses and those in possession of the video to stop circulating it as an offense to circulate, since it is an offense to circulate such obscene materials. Anybody with any relevant information should personally report to the Cybercrime Unit or the CID headquarters for further action. And this statement is signed by Olivia Turksing, Assistant Superintendent of Police, Public Affairs Unit, CID. Now, subsequent to the police statement, we know that some arrests have been made. Let's go live now to the Ashanti region and speak with ASP Juliana Bing, who is with the police public relations office there. All right, we do not have ASP Juliana Bing, but we do have a correspondent, Ohiming Tewia, who has been picking some further information on this particular, on the arrests that have been made. Hello, Ohiming, what do we know of the arrest, the people involved, their ages, and what they do, and what got them to do this dastardly act?
Thank you, Israel. According to a release from the Regional Police Public Relations Directive signed by the Public Relations Officer ASP Juliana.
All right, Ohiming, hold on. It looks like we're getting some feedback from your telephone line. We'd have to do something about it before so that we can hear you clearly. I don't know if anything has been done about it, and if Ohiming, you can hear me clearly now. Hello, Ohiming?
Yes, Israel, I can hear you clearly.
So tell us about these arrests.
Yes, Israel, according to the Public Relations Officer for the Ashanti Regional Police Command, ASP Juliana Obey, 7 suspects are involved in this particular act. And according to the release, 3 of them have been arrested out of the three, two of them are senior high school students. They are in Form 1 at the senior high school, and the third suspect is actually a JHS 3 student. But according to the release, 4 others are at large, and they are being sought by the police.
All right.
They were arrested actually on Saturday at Kumasi, Bantama.
All right, Ohemeng, just hold on for me. I have on the line now ASP Juliana Obeng, who's going to be giving us further details. It's better, I believe, that we hear it straight from her. So thank you for making time to join us, ASP Juliana Obeng. So tell us about these arrests. We're told the arrests were made on Saturday.
Well, good evening, and good evening to your viewers. Confirmed the arrest was made on Saturday.
All right, and what are the ages of these people involved, and what was the motive?
I think that we have made it clear in our release that these are students in SHS and JHS. Obviously, it should tell you that these are children. And so for some very good reasons, the command decided not to put the names or ages of these suspects in the public domain.
Now, according to the video that is in circulation, we are not sure whether there was actual penetration. Do we know that if that actually happened?
Well, that is why the police has initiated investigations into this. And so as to whether there was actual penetration or not, one, we have initiated investigations, and as part of our investigations, we have issued medical form to the victim to send to the hospital. I think that reports from the hospital should help us in identifying or knowing if there was indeed penetration or not.
Now, do you care to share with us how you came by this? Is it that the victim herself reported, or the police pursued the matter after the video went viral?
So we actually received a complaint from a committee member in that area, and that's how come we followed up to do the arrest. Meanwhile, the victim herself came to make a report.
All right, and so what charges, you're telling us that you have 3 of these boys in custody. What charges are they facing?
We would have to take our time to do thorough investigations to arrive at which preferred charge for these students or for these suspects. And so when we are done with the investigations, we would be able to tell you what charges we would prefer against these students or these suspects.
You say that they're minors. I am curious as to where we're holding them or where they're being held.
Well, let us say that they are in police custody now. We should know better not to mix them up in the adult cell. And so we say that they are in police custody and they are where they are supposed to be as minors or juveniles. What
was the complaint or the nature of the complaint that was lodged by the victim?
I do not understand your question.
Right, you indicated earlier that the complainant came forward to you, the victim came forward to you with a complaint. And I wanted to know what the nature of this complaint was.
Well, if I understand you, you want to probably find out the exact words this victim came to tell the police, or this victim came out to tell the police, if I'm right. If that is what it is, then I think that you would be interfering with investigations. I think that for us, the most important thing is the arrest of 3 out of the 7 suspects who have gone to do what appears to be a gang rape to those victims where we are investigating.
Now, the word you just used, the phrase you just used is important, which was what I was trying to establish. You say it appears to be gang rape.
Exactly. Appears to be, reason being that investigation is still ongoing. And that's why I say that we have not preferred any charges against these students. Investigations are still ongoing.
All right, thank you very much, ASP Juliana Obeng. I'd like us to leave it there, but that was ASP Juliana Obeng of the Ashanti Region Police. She's Ashanti Region Police PRO. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break right now. We do have some more stories coming your way. Do stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit. Now, it appears some robbers who have gone on rampage at Achimota Mile 7 here in Accra, stopping at nothing in their quest to loot. So much so that even churches in the community have been robbed by this gang. Just this weekend, 2 cars were snatched whilst the burglar-proof doors of a mobile money shop was destroyed and items valued at 25,000 cedis stolen. They also stole from the Rema Gospel Church after ripping off its metallic bars. Maxwell Agagba, who has been interacting with the residents, reports they want the police to increase their visibility.
I'm currently inside the Rema Gospel International Church. Well, a banner here says 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 17. Now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But it looks the case that the church, and just like the residents living in this community, have not found their liberty from some unscrupulous people who go about robbing them of their possessions. Just last Saturday, this church was robbed of its 2 amplifiers. I've met one of the caretakers here. He's going to tell me exactly what happened on that day. Sir, how are you doing?
Fine.
What exactly happened on that day?
You don't understand why some people came here and still come to, if you want to stay, it's not God's house. And it's there, you stand almost 5 minutes. Still, you don't even talk. You stand in shock. You don't understand why this happened in the house of the Lord. And yeah, I'm also shocked. Because if you want to thief, as a thief, you want to thief. It's not in the house of the Lord. Maybe it's thief, it's not good. In general, it's not good. As a man, we have to work. If the Bible says a hand, I forget the scripture. They said a hand without no work. It shouldn't eat.
Earlier, we are at the office of the district commander of the Mile 7 Achimota police station. Well, he says he has not really received the reports of some of the incessant attacks that the residents here are talking about. He stated that over the weekend, they had 2 incidents of snatching, which had to do with some 2 taxis. I'm here to find out from some of the victims of the latest attack here in this community. Sometime in October, some robbers came here and made way with an amount of about 20,000 Ghana cedis. They've come back here at this place just some days ago.
I was in the room sleeping, and my uncle called me around 5:30. He called me, so I should come. I said, "What's happened?" He said, "They robbed us again." So when I came, I saw a door break down, and they entered the inside. They searched everything, everywhere, our safe line and our credit card and our Wi-Fi. It's about 25,000. Very fear. We are fear because nowadays the security are not tight. Before the police used to come around, walking around with their cars, but nowadays no. If you will see them once, they'll pass once. You see them once. You will see them of like the way they used to come around before, but nowadays no, because my 7 are not secure with the police. No. Very bad. Time when we are sleeping, we are afraid that, I don't know, very, very bad. Even we are not secure at all, no. We are afraid, so we are begging the police people to guide us, protect us, because I thought they are there for us, so they should take good care of us.
Now, members, we're returning to our earlier story on the Accra High Court ruling ordering the Electoral Commission to work towards implementation of the law allowing all Ghanaians abroad to vote so that those who qualify can get to vote in 2020. Now, members of Parliament are divided over whether the Electoral Commission will be able to effectively implement that High Court directive, whilst minority MPs say they disagree with the ruling, which they describe as not feasible. The majority says it is a good move and can be easily implemented.
It will call for a number of things. The financial resources obviously will come to play. And again, also the processes that we need to go through and all that.
Do we have the resources? Are the processes in motion already? Are we ready for something like that, you think?
If we are unable to meet our budgetary targets, that clearly should demonstrate that we don't have the resources, or we have very limited resources. From where I see it, financially the picture doesn't look any bright, but maybe they may have some strategic approaches that they will adopt, to really get things done as far as the implementation of ROPAA is concerned.
But I disagree with the court completely. And my disagreement stems from the fact that, one, it is the high commissioners and ambassadors who would be charged with overseeing the elections. Now, these high commissioners and ambassadors are appointees of government. You have heard and seen some of the overly partisan positions that have already been taken by some of these high commissioners. So clearly, any election in the diaspora would not render it credible, and more importantly, I do not think that we have the budget to be able to implement this fully. If you're going to do it, what it means is that every country where a Ghanaian resides, you absolutely have no excuse not to hold elections there. Challenges, people will take you to court and challenge the credibility of the elections if they get disenfranchised. If you don't put the building blocks in place, you would end up creating problems for us. You would end up even throwing the entire electoral calendar into disrepute.
If they are helping economically, they should also be part of the decision-making process. So I don't have anything against it.
Mainly the argument has been that we don't have the resources, we don't have the logistics to allow for people to vote from outside the country.
How much are Ghanaians outside? And if we are not bringing them, we are not implanting them to come to Ghana to vote. If you are in America, maybe you are within Michigan, they ask you to come to Chicago at a particular day to come and vote. If you value governance, definitely it wouldn't be too much of a problem. If they are in UK, they ask some of them to come to London to vote or Paris to vote. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. We have money to harass that thing, so I can't have money to do such an important thing.
Watching joining this prime, we're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. We get to meet some Ghanaians who have gotten so used to drinking contaminated water. They were actually surprised water can be clean and clear.
Remember, ena nyefe samenum bida ntimahuna ena menum.
The current ban on the recruitment of Ghanaians for domestic work in the Gulf is said to be fueling the activities of illegal travel agencies. The Ghana Association of Private Employment Agencies says these shady companies are the ones who send Ghanaians into slave-like environments where they're exploited and abused. The association's chairman, Alhaji Saeed Sharif, told journalists in Accra on Monday the answer to the problem is not a complete ban on the operations, but a clampdown on the unregistered agencies. Nancy Mefajra-Dozie has more.
It was for scenes like these this government decided to impose a ban on the activities on the recruitment of Ghanaians for domestic work in Gulf countries in June. Despite the ban, though, the report of maltreatment have not stopped, and the Ghana Association of Private Employment Agencies believe the ban is not the way to go. Indeed, the association is convinced the ban is making it worse.
It is we, the officially registered recruitment agencies, who are bearing the brunt of the suspension, because officially all our operators are on hold. Almost all our members have literally shut down their offices, while illegal agencies are having a field day. Majority of prospective immigrants seeing our offices closed resort to illegal agencies, pay huge monies, and risk everything into wilderness.
Alhaji Saeed Sharif explained there are 54 recognized entities in the business, 32 of which belong to Gapia, and that anyone who deals with a company that is not recognized does so at their own risk.
We are all aware of the harrowing experiences that chill our nerves in the story of all the innocent Ghanaians sold into slavery in Libya by illegal agents operating still on our soil. The statistics show that all the returnees from Libya's slave camps were sent to Libya by illegal agents under 4 months ago, which is within the period of the suspension.
On his part, PRO of the association, Alhaji Abubakar Dan Liman, expressed worry at the turn of events, as he says affects their businesses and also adversely impacts government revenue.
Most of us have locked their offices completely. It's not in the interest of the state. We also lose a lot of money. You know, these illegals, now they are working well. They channel their praise through other countries, sometimes to travel. The state is losing revenue from the airports. When we buy a ticket for one person traveling to the Gulf, government makes about 300 USD as airport tax. Now those taxes go to other countries. No, government is not being fair with us. We are the major stakeholders, and in even taking this stance of suspension, government should have sat down with us to let us understand, the problems that government is confronted with before even stopping it. Just from the blue, don't work. Your work is suspended. We think government has been very, very unfair with us.
The association is also urging the public to blow the whistle on any company engaging in illicit recruitment of Ghanaians for work abroad by contacting the police.
You're watching Joy News Prime. Now, government has withdrawn from Parliament a request seeking approval for the allocation of 6 million cedis to the office of the senior minister, following concerns by the minority that the office is not legally recognized. According to Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, the executive instrument spelling out the list of ministries doesn't include the office and so can't be allocated resources.
It is either that the president has not done that which is legally appropriate, because I'm holding with me the executive instrument EI 28, Civil Service Ministries Instrument 2017, signed by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, gazetted 28 February 2017, which instrument, Mr. Speaker, creates the various ministries, and conspicuously lost in this list is office of the senior minister. So it means that the portfolio of senior minister is only holding it morally, but legally he has no locus. And if the president intended that he wants a senior minister, he must do what is legally appropriate to create the office by the executive instrument, unless a different instrument was issued in that respect.
The majority agreed and the request was withdrawn. Let's hear Majority Leader Oseche Mensah Bonsu and First Deputy Speaker Joe Seusu.
The Speaker, I would believe that we could have it under the OGM, the Office of Government Machinery. And the Speaker, as for the allocation, it could be done even there for reasons of transparency and accountability. So as a House, we'll be able to trace and track the use of what amount has gone to which office. So to me, it's perfectly in order, except as I have observed, if it should be placed under the Office of Government Machinery, even within that basket, it should be possible for us as a House, because we are tasked with oversight. We will see how much has been allocated to this office. So as far as that one is concerned, there's nothing amiss. However, we cannot, because it doesn't come under any EI. Voting for this as a separate allocation may be difficult. Accordingly, the motion for us to approve of this allocation to that office, to the extent that it is not covered by any EI, will be stood down.
Say in Parliament, the minority is raising red flags over what it says reduced allocations to the National Labour Commission in the 2018 budget. The minority says the government's medium-term strategy for 2018 to 21 allocates at least 10 million cedis to the Commission annually, but has only allocated to it 6 million cedis for 2018. Deputy Minority Spokesperson on Employment and Labour Relations, Richard Kwashiga, says this will affect the ability of the Commission to protect workers. He says the inconsistency in the figures is not helpful.
What it means, therefore, is that what they're supposed to do, they cannot do it effectively and efficiently, to realize the optimum objective of building regional offices, starting with 3 regional offices and revamping of the Western Region Office of the Labour Commission, which is obviously crucial for labor adjudication of labor matters and solving and addressing labor problems that obviously continue to confront us as a people. So it only means that the challenge, though efforts have been made to address it, there still will be deficits, and probably they may not be able to deliver effectively. But my biggest concern is the inconsistency in the figures. My biggest concern is that this is a very rich document produced by the Ministry of Finance, for not just the Labour Commission, but all other agencies and commissions and sectors. And I have observed that it's not in only this document that there seem to be problems. When you take even that of the Ministry of Employment itself, there are problems as to the figures that were released to them in 2017 and what they claim had been released to them. When you take the gender ministry, these are ministries and sectors that fall within the purview of the committee that I serve on. There are clear challenges. And these documents should cost the state lots of money. And if it's replete, the errors are replete in all of them, then the Minister of Finance definitely has some questions to answer, as to wastage causing financial loss.
The Upper West Region Police says it is pursuing members of the aggrieved youth of Baguri in the Wa municipality who were accused of burning houses of some suspected prostitutes and chasing them away. The youth of the area have argued the suspected prostitutes are a threat and affront to the moral upbringing of their children. Properties including beds, cooking utensils, food items and standing fans were destroyed in the attack. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam, Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Alhaji Husseini Musa Awinaba said they are on the hand for the suspected arsonists but will also prosecute the suspected prostitutes.
According to the Upper West Crime Officer of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Alhaji Husseini Musa Awinaba, the Upper West Command gathered intelligence that there were some ladies residing at Poguri, a suburb of Wa, who were alleged to have been involved in prostitution. The police quickly moved into the house and arrested 6 of them.
We processed them. We got certain items in the house that we suspected were evidences against them. So we charged them, including the landlord, and we were supposed to put them before court on the 18th. But on the 16th in the evening, we had information that some youth in the area decided to attack them in the house and even burn their properties, assaulted and caused harm to them, and set the house and some properties in the house ablaze. So as of now, they are on admission at the Wa Regional Hospital receiving treatment.
Properties including beds, cooking utensils, food items, and standing fans were also destroyed. The police are yet to make any arrest since the suspected arsonists attacked last Saturday.
For now, we have not been able to get any clear names.
we are going to get the information from them. Though they have mentioned some names, it is not very clear to us. So as soon as they are discharged, we'll be able to get the identity of the persons involved. Then we can move in on them and see to get them arrested.
It is unclear for now about the motive of the aggrieved youth, but Superintendent Awinaba said their initial investigation revealed that the aggrieved youth may have launched the attack on the alleged prostitutes to stop them from desecrating 2 sacred places in the area.
It could be that that activity is strange to them in that area. And the other information we have is that the places are in between 2 mosques in the area. So they see it to be a holy settlement between the 2 holy sites. So they decided to evict them by force, which was not the right way to go. We know a mosque is supposed to be a holy site to Muslims, as well as a church is a holy site for Christians.
He said the police are on the hunt for the perpetrators of the alleged arsonist attack, whilst waiting for the alleged prostitutes to recover from the severe wounds they sustained during the attack before they are taken to the court for prosecution.
It will be unfair for you to put them before court whilst they are on admission. So we have to see to their welfare first. When they recover, the fact that they have been attacked doesn't mean that it's going to write off the offense they are alleged to have committed. In the same vein, those who also attack them doesn't make it right. The fact that you don't like the activity they are carrying on in the area. So the 2 of them are supposed to face fair treatment from the police.
Some of the aggrieved youth told UN News on condition of anonymity that they allegedly banned and chased the alleged prostitutes out of their hidden homes because they see their stay and practice of the oldest profession as a threat and affront to the moral upbringing of children in the area. Reporting for UN News, Rafik Salam.
Now, a Ghanaian winner of the Universal Concept of Mathematics and Arithmetic System UCMAS Global Competition has returned to Kumasi to a rousing welcome. 9-year-old Enoch Esiedu of Bethlehem Academy beat competition from contestants from 56 countries to clinch honors for Ghana in the competition held in Malaysia.
The Class 5 pupil began his glorious journey to winning global laurel by emerging regional and national champion. Enoch was met at the Kumasi airport by a huge welcome party of management, staff and children of Bethlehem Academy, as well as relatives and well-wishers. He has lifted Ghana's flag high by grabbing the first prize in the above age 7 category. Elated parents Benjamin and Christiana Adu cannot hide their excitement as they urge parents to prioritize their children's education.
First of all, I thank God for His mercies, and I thank my teachers and my parents in Ghana for their support.
Say, I will for a war if we are seeing now, but more man as soon as we see mass because me ban was at school for the bread in the bar. School has seen or more now and yet, name your papa teacher knew about was mathematics be our Aprani. The way of fast year mathematics in the Tibia Bejan, every school. John Saturday school has seen was a sub-ram improvement for the Beba and Brabum. And on Saturday, this mass in the buyer was started away using mass. Now this last side cry.
Proprietress of Bethlehem Academy, Vida Aduamankwa, believes it is time to introduce UCMAS as basic course in schools.
Enoch has won for the nation as a whole. It's an international with 58 countries, and this boy topped. My prayer is that the authorities will have the concept of UCMAS and encourage it in all schools. It really do help the kids to study and learn very hard.
Ashanti Regional Coordinator of UCMAS, Erasmus Asamoah Kujo, wants government to consider the proposal for adoption nationwide. He said it empowers children physically and mentally to solve complex situations.
Most of the Asian countries have UC Maths as a compulsory subject in their basic schools. So if Ghana will introduce it to the basic school, it will be very helpful. Directors of education for the past 3-4 years have been very cooperative with us, and the current regional director of education and their team are very, very supportive of this program. So we wish and pray that the government and everybody that matters will support all of us so that UC Maths will become the base of shifting the paradigm in our education.
Nana Sansumensa reporting for Joy News.
Over 5 million people in Ghana live with a disability, making them the country's largest minority. They face a lot of social stigma, creating a culture of entrenched discrimination. However, one man won't allow all that to affect him. Being personally deaf, he set up the Deaf Ministry at the Church of Pentecost to reach out to persons of his kind. Bernice Abubedu visited the church and reports.
It's a Sunday and many Ghanaians are on their way to church. Today I'm joining the Shalom Peace Assembly at Nungwa, a church for deaf people, one of the few in Ghana. There are about 30 worshippers today. Here, everything is done in sign language. With their hands moving in unison, members passionately sing their songs and dance, while some of their leaders who can speak sing along. It's now time to pray, and Joyce Edwajaman, one of the leaders here, is in charge. She speaks as she signs so I can understand. As I observe the congregation, I wonder where they would all be on a Sunday like this, but for one man, Reverend Reuben Wuni, who started the Deaf Ministry at the Church of Pentecost. So far, he set up 4 main branches and was recently ordained the first deaf pastor of the church after 27 years of preaching to members of the deaf community. His wife interprets for him at all meetings with those who can't sign.
When I was young, at a very tender age, I was in a Sunday school. I go to Sunday school. When I became deaf, then I started going to the deaf school. From there, I saw that there was no church. We have a lot of deaf people in Ghana, but there was no church. So I decided to start the Deaf Ministry.
It's just like a classroom setting as he delivers his sermon on love. There's a whiteboard with the title, scripture references and other details. He encourages his members to love one another. In this church, members have an opportunity to ask questions. It's very interactive. After 30 minutes, the sermon ends. The tithes and offerings are taken and the grace is said. It's been a message on love here today, but as members of this assembly move out into their various communities, do they feel loved by a society and its members like myself who know very little about how to communicate with them or even provide services tailored to their needs? Sitting in the church and watching members sign in prayer, praise and worship, I begin to get a sense of how it feels to be deaf, that the issue of deafness is deeper and more complex. Reverend Wuni is worried about how people treat the deaf in our society.
Most of us know that outside Ghana, everybody is treated well. Outside Ghana, I've been treated well, and wherever you go, we have interpreters around where they help you with your communication. But in Ghana, people see you and sometimes they don't even want to get closer to you.
In Ghana, 5 million people live with a disability, making them the country's largest minority. They face severe social stigma, creating a culture of entrenched discrimination. Reverend Wuni has some thoughts on how society can make life better for members of the deaf community.
I want people to show love to the deaf people and support them as well. And I wish a lot of people can learn the sign language, at least to break the communication barrier between the deaf and the hearing, and also job opportunities for the deaf people.
This pastor wasn't born deaf. He recounts what led to his hearing loss.
At age 5, I fell sick, and then they took me to hospital. I was admitted for about a month, and we were 20 kids in one ward. All the 19 kids died, and I was the only one who survived, and I became deaf from then.
Did they tell you what sickness it was?
CSM.
Out of intense curiosity, I find out why he still preaches, even though he's not yet benefited from the healing power of God.
God has a reason why people become deaf. Jesus can heal, yes, he can heal. He has a reason why he has not healed me. Even if I was healed, maybe I will not start this ministry.
I've learned how to sign "Thank you" and "God bless you," something that makes Reverend Winnie smile, and I leave him feeling fulfilled. Maybe if we all learned how to sign, he and others like him will feel loved and connected. Then we can begin an intensive process of providing tailor-made services for the deaf in Ghana. Benis Abubedu, Joy News, Accra.
Now, for the millions of households that have water running through their taps, potable water, as clear as they get it, is taken for granted. Some homes actually do not trust the water that runs through their taps. They resort to sachet or bottled water. There are, however, millions of households for whom potable water is actually a luxury. Joining us, Jojo Kobna visited Kulire in the West district of the Upper West region and met a family whose first ever encounter with potable water was the bottled water he carried on him for his trip around the country. He reports it tasted so good, they scrambled over it.
The sun goes down in Kulire, a village in the West district of the Upper West region. The community of about 120 residents has no access to potable water, not even a borehole. Incidentally, we chanced on this elderly lady going in search of water and followed her to this dugout. The footprints show the residents have to share this water source with animals. The other water source the community relies upon is some 10 minutes away. Though they don't have to share this water with animals in the community, it is really no better. Interestingly, they make no effort to treat it. Their greatest fear now, though, is that this dugout could soon dry up and they would have to walk a longer trip to fetch water. Following a request for some of the empty bottles we had in our vehicle so they could use it to fetch water, I offered the residents one of our bottled water, and the reaction of patients Akosi Nyibo was priceless. She now recounts how the dugout water makes her sick. A clinician at Dairi Chips compound, Alberta Ade, confirms that residents are often rushed to her facility with diarrhea.
Currently, due to their lack of potable water, especially the children do come here with diarrhea. And sometimes too, they have skin rashes as well. Normally, since they don't have a borehole, we do advise them or we do educate them on how to make the water a suitable one for them to take. Like by after fetching, letting it settle for some time, then they do boil it and sieve it before taking. But due to the process that it will go through, some do neglect those advice that we give them.
Patience, after her first encounter with bottled water, tells me drinking from the pond will be difficult. The rest of the family then scrambles for a chance to also taste bottled water for the very first time in their lives. Meanwhile, with 7,000 cedis or a little over $1,000, the entire community of Kuliyere could make this once-in-a-lifetime experience of sampling potable water a lifestyle. George Kobna, Joy News.
And on to a story that has been trending all day. Some former beauty queens and contestants have accused organizers of the Miss Ghana beauty pageant of abuse. The ladies claim they were subjected to various forms of abuse, including being exploited sexually in order to get ahead of other competitors. This is not the first time such rumors have surfaced, but it is certainly the first time the contestants have publicly spoken out against the alleged abuse. Winner of Miss Ghana 2013, Nana Ekuabefi, is one of the first ladies to accuse former Miss Ghana and organizer of the pageant, Ina Party, of exploitation. Earlier on the polls, runner-up for Miss Tourism 2014, Efua Santua Ufusu, told my colleague Emefa Pao that beauty pageants, or she believed, beauty pageants should be banned.
My case, it wasn't about sponsoring the show, but when you are done, there are big guys who come over requesting for the girls and stuff like that. And I have friends who have experience in well-known pageants here in Ghana. It's either you sleep with them, else you won't be part of the finalists, or you wouldn't be able to win. If you don't give in, you don't make it. And if you are still in running for the crown, it's either you be part of the final five, or maybe you get a second. If you're extremely good, you get maybe the third position or second position, but to win, forget it. And it's just so sad that people don't respect us anymore. When you go out looking for sponsorship, I mean, they just rub it on your face, meet me here, come spend a night, and it's just so sad. I just have to put beauty pageants on hold for now.
Rights campaigner Francis Haviososu, speaking on the poll, said beauty queens had the right to work in a safe environment and should claim compensation for the alleged exploitation.
We need to commend the beauty queens for coming out to boldly speak against these abuses. And perhaps they don't need to just speak about them, but I believe that they should be able to demand for some ransom. These beauty queens, have a right to work in a very safe environment.
Okay.
If you're in an environment where you are being abused, clearly it is part of your economic crisis that have been abused. Quite apart from that, whatever advances or perhaps sexual violations that were perpetrated against them forms a basis for an action, for some form of compensation for the sexual violations. At this time, maybe it will be very difficult to have pieces of evidence to prove things like indecent assault and so on and so forth, which are more criminal. Okay. But even though you may not be able to prove those crimes, if there are people, other witnesses to some of these allegations, I believe that they can go to a civil court or a human rights high court for a declaration to that effect and also seek for some compensation, at least against the company. I would even encourage them not to just end this with just the advocacy or speaking against the situation. They should be able to test the law in this regard. In the first place, when you are working under those conditions, usually you work for an agency. Yeah. And that agency is responsible for your safety. They are responsible for your well-being so long as you remain in their custody or you remain in their care. Now, if the agency looks on and you are abused, you are sexually abused, or in some way facilitated that because of the kind of arrangements they put in place, I believe you can sue the agency. Don't forget that it is the obligation of organizations, companies, agencies to put in place what we call the anti-sexual harassment laws.
He also called for a parliamentary probe of all beauty pageants in the country. Now, we'll be bringing you more on this particular story when we bring you entertainment later on, but it's easily turning out to be one of Ghana's own Me Too episode of abuse. And that's it for Journey's Prime. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.